All right, so I'm going to walk through and provide an answer key to our yoga worksheet. We did the position number 1 here, or pose number 1, in our last video. So I'm going to focus on pose number 2, and then I'll go to tree pose number 6, and then we'll flip over to the other side. Okay, so let's start with pose number 2 down here, which is the arm stand. And we want to start off with the joints that we're interested in. So again, you have the neck, we have the spine, you would have the arm, which is whatever's happening at the shoulder, you do to the arm. You have the forearm with the elbow. Then you're going to have the hip and thigh, and the knee with the leg, ankle with the foot. Okay, so those are all the different joints to be looking at. And now that we have the joints listed, now let's look at what actions are occurring. Okay, and when in doubt, just sort of try it on. Try to get your body, maybe not upside down, but at least into this same position. Okay, so if we're looking at the position of the head relative to the trunk, we see that the neck is straight, so the neck is in an extended position. To get the neck in an extended position and not rotated in any way, we are going to use the trapezius muscle. Okay. That is on the back of the neck. It goes from your occipital bone down those spinous processes and over to the scapula. Okay. Now, the spine is also extended because it's also very straight and vertical. So we're going to use that erector spinae group to do that. If, however, our spine was flexed, say if we were doing a curl or some sort of crunch, then we would have been using our abdominal group. Okay? The erector spinae group is going to help with spine extension, whereas the abdominals are going to work on spine flexion. Okay? Action here at the shoulder so that we can get to move the arm. Okay? Well, what we want to do is abduct and flex at that shoulder. So first thing, start an anatomical position and then flex the arm so that, you know, you're raising it up like you're lifting up a pile of firewood, and then abduct. So now it looks like sort of like you're showing off your biceps in class here. So you've flexed to bring that arm up, and then abducted it to get it out to the side. So we have flexion and we have abduction. The flexion is going to be done by the biceps brachii muscle. Right? Biceps is going to flex the shoulder. It's also going to flex at the elbow. But the abduction is going to be done by deltoid. Okay? So two different actions here and two different muscles. Okay? Now, if you didn't have both of those and you just had one or the other, that's fine. Just make sure that you explain what the action is and then what the muscle. There's a lot of open to interpretation on this. Okay. At the elbow, we see that the elbow is also flexed. Okay. It's bent at a 90 degree here. And to do that, we use biceps brachii. Make sure you're putting brachii on there because we also have biceps femoris down in the thigh. Okay, so use both words. Okay. Moving to the thigh and to the hip, we have, if we zoom in here on the hip, we see that the hip has gone out in either direction, not forward, backward, but out to either side. So the hips are abducted, and to do that, you're using gluteus maximus. Okay. For abduction of those thighs, you're going to use gluteus maximus. So If we wanted to, though, bring those thighs together, if we wanted to adduct the thighs, we wouldn't use the glutes, right? We wouldn't use the muscles on the outside of the thigh. Instead, to bring them back together, we would use the adductors like gracilis. Okay? Again, opposite sides of the body doing opposite actions. So think about how that works. Okay? Knees here, the legs are extended, right? They are extended. They're in a straight line here. And to extend those knees, you use your quadriceps femoris group. So you could list those out as being any of the vastus muscles or the rectus femoris, but quadriceps is just fine. And then we see that we have some pointy toes, right? Those ballerina toes pointing away from us, so that we see at the ankle we're doing pointy plantar flexion. And to do plantar flexion, you have to use the back of the calf. So that would be gastrocnemius or soleus. Okay. All right, see how you did on that one? Let me pause. All right, we're done with the arm stand. Let's move over to our position number 6 here, the tree pose. And what's interesting about tree pose here is that when we get to the lower extremity, you're going to have different actions for the right leg versus the left. Okay, so make sure you say what's going on with the right or what's going on with the left. Again, though, we'll start by just listing neck, spine, shoulder or arm, elbow or forearm. And then we get the hips and thigh. Let's go hip, thigh right and hip, thigh left. And then same with the knee. Oh yeah, I can spell knee. There we go. Knee, leg right versus the knee, leg left. And we can do some ankle foot. Okay. So again, let's start at the top. Best way to go through these pictures, just top to bottom. The neck is extended, and that's trapezius. Okay. If this individual was trying to look down at her toes and not tip over, then she'd be using sternocleidomastoid, but she seems to be rocking this pose, so she is staring straight ahead, not losing her balance, being a sturdy little tree. Okay. Her spine is also fully extended. Again, she's using that erector spinae group so that she can stack those vertebrae one on top of the other. If she was bending over or doing some sort of crunch, then we would be using the abdominal group. At the shoulder, what she's done is taken her arms from anatomical position and abducted them as far as she can go, right? She's abducted entirely all the way up until her palms have met. She has not done any flexion here, and she probably has not done any sort of rotation. So again, she's going to get some deltoid to do this abduction. Okay. Elbows and forearms are extended, right? Being that they're straight out here. Extension at the elbow or extension at the forearm is the triceps brachii muscle. That muscle inserts on the olecranon process so that it pulls the radius and the ulna into a straight position. All right, that lower limb. Let's look at her right leg and thigh first. This is the one that is the tree branch, right? Not the tree trunk. So this is the thigh that is being abducted. Okay, this is being abducted. Taken away from the midline. So again, stand in anatomical position and just bring that thigh out. Abduction, you're going to start to feel that in your glutes, gluteus maximus. Now, staying on that right side, let's go to see what's going on at her right knee and her right leg. Because we don't see it, we're going to make the assumption that it's bent behind her. So that right knee is flexed. which is being done by her hamstring group. So you would have any of the muscles, semimembranosus, semitendinosus, or that biceps femoris. Left leg, left thigh, both extended. Extended. To extend that thigh, to extend at the hip to get this nice and vertical, we are going to be using our, let's see what we're going to use. So to get that hip extended, we're going to use the hamstrings again. Right? Hamstrings do opposite actions at the thigh and the leg. So they are going to extend the hip. Again, it's semitendinosus or biceps femoris. But we're extending the knee, so we're going to use the quads. Here the foot is firmly planted on the ground. So we are in likely dorsiflexion. And using our tibialis anterior. Okay. All right, try those on. We got one more to go on the back of the sheet. All right, back of the sheet, we're going into warrior two position. So this is a forward lunge, and then the arms are extended front to back. All right, so joints, the neck, again in an extended position. Right, we really haven't seen any neck flexion. Spine extended again, erector spinae group. Okay. Let's look at those shoulders and arms. Okay, so at the shoulder, that individual is bringing the arm up straight in front of them. So you can stare over your middle finger, and then the other arm is going straight back. So this is going to be on one side flexion, okay, and on the other extension. So that arm coming forward is being flexed, the arm coming back is being sort of hyper extended. Okay, so to do shoulder flexion, you're going to use biceps brachii. To do shoulder or an arm extension, you're going to do triceps. Again, this is not out to the side. You're not making a cross. You're looking down the barrel of that middle finger and putting those arms in front to back alignment. At the hips, again, the legs are following, or sorry, not the legs, but the thighs are following in a front to straight back position. So at the hip, if we look here, we have one hip that's going to be flexed and one hip that's going to be extended. Okay, make sure you tell me which one's which, right? If you said that the right shoulder, if this was right and right, left and left. Okay, if the right hip is flexed, right, to do that flexion, we're going to use the quads. If we're doing the left hip or the left thigh, we're going opposite that, we're going to use the hamstrings. Okay. Remember, opposite actions, opposite sides. There's a vocab word for this. It's called being an antagonist. Okay. Knees, again, opposite here. If we look at the right knee is flexed. The left knee is straight, so it's extended. So to flex the knee, we're going to use the hamstrings. To extend the other knee, we're going to use the quads. Okay. Feet are also opposite. The right foot would be dorsiflexed using tibialis anterior. The left is likely plantar flexed. If you can get it all the way down, you're awesome, right? But probably plantar flexed through the use of gastrocnemius. Okay. If you wanted, you could look at maybe some hip rotation. Not super worried about those rotator muscles. But this should hit the big ones. Okay, so give it a practice. If you want to try again, go to Warrior 1, and I'll see you in class.